didn't know you were ready.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have to begin looking at everything through fresh eyes.
Okay.
I told you that since I left California, I felt different. And my experiences have been different. There was a time in recent weeks and months that, you know how you feel that like something is wrong? Don't do, don't do this.
Yeah.
I don't feel that anymore. I do not have experiences like you shouldn't do this. I don't have those kind of experiences anymore. My experiences are what I should do. Totally different. Totally different experience. The feeling is different. It's not, it is very, very difficult for me to form or entertain anything from a negative perspective. So it's not what I shouldn't do, it's what I should do. And I wrestle with that. And the reason I wrestle with it is because when I experience what I should do, it doesn't always feel like or sound like the thing that I have been taught. Got it?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it lends itself to understanding that righteousness is not what you thought it was. And the closer you get to God, the more ungodly it appears to be. That kind of thing. So when you make a statement like people who live in or have less means than we do in terms of them dealing with food stamps and subsidized housing, and yet they walk around with the microcourse type things. I don't see that as a negative. I see that as a vision of themselves that they don't even realize. They feel like they're better than where they are.
Well, it's a bigger picture. You look at the bigger picture.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I don't see things through human eyes as much as I once did.
Okay.
I don't. And that in itself sometimes put other people on the defense. Or it makes them recoil. It causes them to second guess your sanity. Because I just don't see it that way. I was speaking with this lady yesterday, and this lady says to me, I knew that you were in California, and I saw what happened with the storm. And she says, I knew that you were going to deal with it. I just sat back to see how. And she talked about how it split, how it came in, how it did not affect the people in Mexico as much as it did folk in Texas. Didn't understand why. Why did it skip Arizona, New Mexico, those kinds of things. And she goes on to say to me, I am aware of you. I know that there is nothing you can't do or change. And I'm sitting there listening, but at the same time, I'm experiencing some discomfort because of what she's saying. and wrestling with what I've been taught versus what I know the truth to be.
Right.
And she concluded by saying, I see you, I watch you, but not watching you like to see what you go do, but I see the changes in you. And what changes? I can't explain it, but I see the changes in you. When I hear you teaching, there is a difference. When I see you talking to people, when I see you moving about, you're different. And I say, so what is different? She says to me, you have always been different to me, but I didn't understand it then. Then it clicks inside of me when I grew up. I was always different in the minds of Sunday school teachers, the drunks on the corner, the people who never went to church, everybody. I was always the different kid. And now I began to not only understand it, but I've begun to accept it. And one of the things that I realize is if, especially the facilitators, the teachers, do not come to grips honestly with who we are and what our purpose is, we can only look forward to increased violence. For those who take it must take it with violence. Is that not what Jesus said?
Yeah.
Say that again. Say
Those
that
who
last
take
part.
it must take it with violence. That's a paraphrase, of course. But he was talking about the kingdom. You got to fight for it, the principles.
So I'm not trying to be funny, but is it that one that will not go with the energy flow, or is it the whole?
No, the energy flow has to be balanced. It got to be balanced. That is the reason the Creator has not permitted me to bring in a 12th body, physical body, where Carla was, because she's still there.
Right.
And becomes the conduit that brings about balance. One of the things I want to and have wanted to say to the teachers primarily, but to all of us, is until you recognize that you are full of darkness, you will never be light. You will never be light. What I mean by that is this. How can you be light, which is understanding, if you're never wisdom? And wisdom is dark because it's not understood. You understand what I'm saying?
Wisdom is dark because.
Dark wisdom. The reason it is dark is because you can't see it. You don't understand it. So it seems to be confusing. When the Creator talks about making light and darkness, he's talking about those things which we don't understand and those things which we do understand. That's why we talk about enlighten me on this. If I need to bring light to this, then there must be darkness there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Now do you see what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So until we understand that principle, embrace that principle, we cannot be the light that Jesus says that we are. We can be flickers of it, we can be sparks, but to be that light is very, very difficult to understand how we can when the darkness covered the deep. And out of that darkness that covered the deep came the light. So the depths of our being is shrouded in darkness. The depth of our being, our essence, is shrouded in darkness. And without that darkness, there is no creation. Because out of that darkness comes the light, and after that light comes from that darkness, now the creation comes. Why? Because that darkness is everything it is to be created. It is the substance of creation. And when you understand that, now you can redirect energy so that it can be manifested in different ways. Example, a different way of manifestation of energy is that it might stop your knee from hurting because you need healing. It may stop your head from hurting. Same energy, different manifestation. A cat has the same energy as you. It's just manifested different. What animal doesn't have lungs? What animal doesn't have a heart? Go ahead, whoever, Sheldon, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, me. I wanted to give a practical example about something that we were just talking about moments ago, as far as the wisdom and the darkness is concerned. Just a little while ago, we were talking about the people who were on public assistance, but doing things like wearing microclothes, buying that type of clothes. And it was mentioned that the reason why, okay, well, let's start off from the beginning. At first sight, looking on the surface of that particular thing, to observe that it would seem very ignorant, it makes absolutely no sense that this person would be doing that, not being able to, as we would think, sufficiently be able to put food on the table or provide for themselves, etc. But it's looked upon as they're wasting money on these more expensive clothes. So, the wisdom is that initially is darkness, that is negative, that is a culture of society keeping themselves in bondage with foolish decisions. Now, the wisdom, the embracing, the trying to understand why that person, why I am actually doing that, and then the wisdom and the knowledge coming that, okay, I know I am better than this particular predicament, that I currently find myself or view myself as being in. This is what is causing these actions. Now, all of a sudden, when you have the wisdom of why you were purchasing those clothes, why that particular person was purchasing that clothes, they're reaching for something they can move forward into more so in the manifestation of who they are and gain a better understanding of that. That is that thing that was once viewed as being dark, all of a sudden being light. And now you have moved to another level. And all of a sudden just automatically doing something that seems foolish may not even be necessary anymore because you have that knowledge and that understanding which will take you to the next level.
And on the heels of that, people who know who they are usually don't participate in those kinds of things.
Right.
Because the depth of who you are that prompts some people to do that, it doesn't prompt you. You don't need it.
Right.
You don't need it. Because of
That's
your...
absolutely correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know it's right. I know. But that's, you don't need it.
Right.
And as a result of that, we lose all our sense, or we grow beyond the misunderstandings of ownership. What we, quote unquote, have, we recognize belongs to everyone. And I think I mentioned this before. It's like the adage that people use sometimes now, what God has for me is for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's for everyone. And when you begin to understand that, then, and it's a difficult thing to accept. When you have been taught all your life to be independent, it's very difficult to understand that you are never independent. Regardless of what you tell yourself, you're always interdependent. Always. But when we understand that we're interdependent, we see it from a material perspective, but when you begin to understand that interdependence is a material, natural, human way of speaking about being spiritually one, but not understanding the principle. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
This is a profound but difficult task. If you think for a moment that change is comfortable, then start doing what you know the right thing is all the time, regardless of where you are or whose presence you're in. If you think that change is not difficult. The church has taught that change is easy. All you have to do is accept Jesus into your life, and your life will be changed. So when you ask, what does that change look like? I don't go to the places where I used to go. I don't do the things I once did. So what are those things? What you find out is those things that we have been taught are the worst things in the world are usually the things that everyone is seeking.
Yeah.
And when you understand the truth about them, then you are less apt to do a lot of things that you once did, because you understand the nature of who you are, you understand your essence, and you know that there's nothing in you that will allow you to act frivolously with the authority that you have.
That makes sense.
You do things measured. For example, when we were told that if your life has changed, you don't drink anymore, right?
Yeah.
We did it anyway. But when you are comfortable with understanding that it is not the alcohol or that is wrong, it is how you deal with it. It is whether you control it or it controls you. Then all that begins to change. Because my argument was for years before I understood what I understand now is, so if it's wrong for me to drink, why do you take NyQuil? You know, go to Walmart and get your liquor. There's NyQuil. Get your high on, because NyQuil will get you high. So we have all these crazy ideas that has been put in us about what's right and what's wrong. And when we look at it, actually there's nothing really, really wrong. It's just misunderstood. And if you want to jump off this building, it's not wrong. If you're going to jump off the building, just be willing to accept the consequences. So you jump off the building, you break a leg, or you paralyzed. Now you become an example of what you ought someone else shouldn't do. I'll give you something else. I sat with this mother yesterday. This kid, well, the grandmama gave me the whole story, but I sat with the mother. This kid, 18 years old, got killed in Atlanta in a shootout with the police. And the kid was in great new faith until he got like 10, 11 years old, and mama left. And kind of floated. A whole different story, but anyway. I'm sitting with her, and she says, And these are her words because of what she is in terms of religion. I always said that he was going to bring his friends to Christ. And she said that it's even 5 or 6 of his friends had died the night before. And all of them, quote unquote, confessed Christ. They were coming out of the streets. And she said to me, I did not know it was going to be this way, that he was going to bring them. But it's okay. I may have lost a biological child, but look at the change that it brought. I said to her, you didn't lose a biological child. You still have that child, because his essence is still with you. And she said, I don't care what people say. And I stopped her, because I knew what people say. I said, honey, please understand something. It matters not what your child did. It is impossible for your child to be separated from the Creator and the scripture still be true. It did not say that Jesus came to deliver the world, not to condemn it, except for those who got killed in the shootout or did other things. It didn't say that. And I said, if you want to look at Paul, he said to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord without exception. And I went on with some other scriptures and went to Isaiah 45:7, where I created I formed the dog, that kind of thing. To help her to see, because in the back of her mind, she was thinking that he was in this eternal damnation place. And my question was, okay, please explain to me, how is it that regardless of who you are, we have been taught that God is always with us. Even when we are in the worst states of our being, we've been taught that. God's always speaking to you, you're not listening. Wherever you go, whether it's in a drug house or whatever, God is still with you. But you have to make that change. We've been taught those things. So how can that be so? If I ask you, who am I, spirit? Yes. That's how he's with you, because you're not your body. We've been taught that. You're spirit. So if that is true, are you telling me because I died in circumstances less than what the church considers righteous, that that spirit of God been cut off? How do you separate spirit from spirit? Well, you can't. So if I am in eternal damnation, suffering, then the whole spirit is suffering, because it's attached. It is no different than me putting the vice on your finger and tightening it up. Your whole body experienced that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. And those are the kinds of things that, now that I was talking to her, but that's what we have to understand. Now, in understanding that, we have to take responsibility for what we understand. And when we take that responsibility for what we understand, if we have been put in this place of authority, and I use that very loosely, if we've been put in a position to bring, to exemplify what true liberation is from a spiritual perspective, then if we don't follow through with it, if we don't hold to it, if we don't desire to get to the place where we feel that what we need to do as opposed to what we should not be doing, we don't desire that, then when we resist it, that resistance results in San Bernardino. Why? Because for every action, be it spiritual or natural, there is a consequence. We cannot say that we were brought into this earth to bring balance to the earth, and then when we refuse to follow the journey that we've asked for, we cannot say that what transpires is not our responsibility, or didn't come as a result of something we did, or didn't do, or didn't accept. Am I making sense?
Yes.
You cannot say that you are responsible for your 5-year-old, and then that child does something out of the ordinary, and you're not responsible to that child for that. You can't say that. We're responsible for everyone, because we are everyone. And I've said it, and I'll say it again. The journey that I am on is greater than Phoebe, the kids, my brothers, my sisters, my mama, greater than any of that. And they are the shapers of my essence in this earth, but the shaper of my essence in the other realm is the same one who created me. The necessity of my being shaped by this in this realm is to guide me to a path where I am now. So it matters not how I get there, as long as I get there. You can go to 77 to 26, or you can go through the country, down through all them other places, hop in all them other places down and go to 26. Whether I take the route, easy route of 77 or go to all those back roads, it doesn't matter. We still get there. That's the same journey of which I speak. And if I chose to take the route through Hopkins and stuff, right? I don't know that route. It doesn't mean the route doesn't exist, but the route is not known to me, so it's darkness to me. So I call and say, Auntie, you from that area, and please enlighten me as to how to get there, or that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And she begins to tell me, well, make a right turn at this tree, and turn, you know. but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That's example that.
Yeah.
So what happens? All of a sudden, what was dark to me becomes light.
She shed light on.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is that I began to understand is that my pregnancy has to be your pregnancy also. But there are times when, I should say however, instead of but, there are times when your pregnancy is not realized until the seed is put in you, which is the word of understanding. One of the fascinating things that I've learned recently is that the Hebrew word, or the Aramaic word for word means to be complete, or a sentence, or something that's finished. So, if that is the case, then every word that we speak completes something. It either completes something that's unright or something that's right. Or as we say, something that is right or wrong. But it does complete something. It brings something to a place of completion. And the idea of completion that's based upon our interpretation does not exist in the Eastern world or in the realm of the Spirit. It doesn't exist. I understand that the Hawaiians are said to have come from Polynesia or Malaysia, that area. So I decided to read the history of it. And as I began to read it, it talked about different nations that contributed to the ethnicity of those who live in Hawaii. But every single island that they mentioned a god associated with it that they believed in. And one of the gods that they mentioned was Vadi, V-A-R-I, which means beginning, which has the same sound as Vadi, which is Hebrew for beginning. But more importantly than that, every single god related to the source of everything that exists. Every single god that they mentioned. Yet, we are told that those are heathens. They're heathen gods. Even though they mean something. The wisdom of it is this. Why is that done? It's because if it's not a language, if the language is not English, it's a heathen.
Where did that word come from?
Heathen?
Yeah.
Catholic Church.
That's the Latin word?
It is. It comes from the Latin. Now the idea of a heathen has always been in there, but that word actually did not come from other languages, because other languages did not. If you read other religions and study the structure of languages, when you begin to look at Eastern languages, there was no understanding of anyone being separated from the God that they worship. There was no understanding of that. They could not wrap their mind around that, because how can you be separated from what brought you in here? What keeps you living? So there was no understanding of that. But English, if it's not English, it's not God, Allah. If your name is not English, then you don't have a Christian name. That's what we have been taught. All these crazy names, Malika, Imani, they are becoming acceptable because we refuse to call them heathen names. Missionaries went into countries, and if your name was Malaika, they would tell you this is your Christian name, Mary. Or Angela, because Malika means angel. So I say all of that to go right back to where I started with this dark thing. when we embrace the idea of dark wisdom or darkness that we are, then we find something that at one time came easy to us. We find it's not so easy anymore. And I think Paul got it right with this. For those who know that they are messianic, there is no more condemnation. For those who are in Christ?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you are no longer condemned as much as it means that you do not have a tongue of condemnation. You don't condemn anyone for anything when you recognize who you are. Why is that so? Because when you recognize the nature of your being, the essence of who you are, the reason you don't is because you realize that the very thing that you once condemned is in your presence because it needs to be enlightened. It needs you. It needs to be nurtured, fed, so it can come to a place of recognizing who it is or what it is. Any questions about that?
I do. When you say it, what it is, I mean, you're talking about anything that we perceive as negative?
What are you talking about? Anything we perceive as negative that's brought to us?
Yeah.
It's brought, yes, it's brought into our presence for us to enlighten it.
Well, I have a question about the guy that did the shooting the other day at the Planned Parenthood. They interviewed his wife, and she said that he was always very evangelical, and he believed that as long as he believed whatever it is he believes, that he was saved, and he could, and it didn't matter because as long as he's saved, and he could do whatever.
So what's your question?
What do you do with something like that? I mean,
You give it right back to the people who gave it to him. The Southern Baptists believe once saved, always saved.
you know.
Until the man hung himself at First Baptist Church. Now they confused. Now, this man shoots up the place. People are confused. What the evangelicals say, he was never saved because he wasn't in their church. He was alone, so they just dismiss him. But you can't dismiss the guy who went to the parsonage and hung himself. How can you dismiss him? So that is brought to us so we can deal with it in the manner that it should be, understanding what salvation is, as opposed to what we have been taught it is.
But then I don't understand what you mean about nurturing it and feeding it.
Okay, if you nurture your child does something wrong. All kids do wrong stuff, right? Do you stop nurturing that child?
No.
You keep nurturing that child, and what you're doing, you're feeding that child light. You're feeding that child the strength and power to rise above those things that create adversity. That's what I mean by nurturing. If you allow it to stay out there on its own, it begins to infect other people. But if you deal with it and bring light to it,
Yes.
it makes a difference. If you look at a problem and all you can see is the problem, it's always there with you. But if you look at what we call a problem and say, I might not see the solution, I am the solution. So I'm just embrace it and move on. Eventually, what you realize is that the thing that you thought was the problem is no longer there. Your kids, the class, the school, all of it changed, didn't it? The principal changed, all of it changed. Well, it changed. It's different than what it was.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm also talking about every event in our lives, whether it be standing at Circle K purchasing coffee, pumping gas, or whether it be just simply speaking to someone. Everything has a cause and an effect.
Yes.
Everything does.
Mhm.
And the effect is based upon you. If you feel negative about it, then you are pushing out what? Negative energy is energy that's uncontrolled or that's out of control. That's all it is. It's energy that's out of control. And when we realize who we are, we begin to realize that it is just as easy to change the course of a river, as the sages say, as it is to push a storm out to sea. The only question is it necessary to change the course of the river? You don't do it just because you want to do it. You do it because it's going to benefit mankind. But it's just as easy to do that. When the lady said, I recognize that you can do anything, I didn't take that in the classical sense of being able to do anything. I took that from the perspective of anything that's within the will of the Creator. That's how I took that.
So can you explain then what it means by I can do all things through Christ?
Okay, there is nothing that's needed to be done that I cannot do because of the messianic nature of my being.
So does strength need to be there?
It doesn't, but it can be. It doesn't change it. Because you are, the nature of your essence, the messianic essence, means that you're strong.
Okay.
And strength does not necessarily mean heavy lifting physically. It does not mean necessarily a strong mind, but it definitely means a strong will. And the strength of your will has to be the same. The strength of your will comes from your desire to be one with the will of the Father.
So wouldn't that strength be desire?
Yes.
Yeah,
But you
the
have to show
the
will to
will,
do
I
that.
mean,
Yes.
it's
yes.
the will instead of we looking at it as a heaviness or
Yeah.
the helping. It's the will
Yes.
itself that. Okay.
See, Jesus never said, I'm one with God. He never said that. He said one with the Father.
Yes.
He never sought the will of God, but he did seek the will of the Father. See the difference?
Yeah.
So, if you are looking in the wrong place for your essence, you'll never find it. But when you begin to look in the right place, you understand that it's right there in front of you anyway. It's there. It's like looking for your glasses and they on your face.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find them. Because no matter where you look, you still don't see them. But when you look in the mirror, you do. Or you find them when someone else says they're on your face. So someone helps you to find yourself.
I'll give you a good one too.
And that's called teaching.
I was looking for my cell phone and I was talking on it.
Please don't tell nobody that.
I have no problem sharing that. And
No,
I
I'm
laughed.
not
Let me tell you something. I laughed at my mom's, one of my mom's best friend, because she was saying, She said, Francis, I can't find my phone because she had a cordless phone. And I laughed at that lady so hard. And then it happened to me. I'm looking for my cell phone and I'm like, I'm talking on it. I'm serious.
Okay. I know you're all right. You and Janice in the same boat.
Y'all done it.
You have? Oh, yeah, never
So-
alone.
Never.
Yeah. Wow.
But do you understand
Yes.
what the point that I'm making on Tim?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and there are some things that I intend to explore when we come together. Because once I began to realize that I'm darkness in terms of the wisdom thing, right? Once I began to realize that, it helped me to see more clearly what melanin is
Mm.
and how it functions. And I want to explore that when all of us come together, because though I see it, I have this sense of clarity comes from all of us seeing it. An example of what I'm saying is that I believe that melanin is like a copper wire. A wire, that copper wire will conduct electricity, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is not enough electricity being pushed through that copper wire, that light is dim. Right?
Yeah.
I believe that melanin is the conductor of life. And when it talks about creation crying out, I believe that it is melanin that's crying out, that the conductor of life. Because there is no life without melanin. There is nothing without melanin. And I will explore that later. So,
Okay.
and
It's gonna be interesting.
I mean, and even if you look at electricity, if it is diffused, then it becomes less effective. No different than multiple sclerosis. The immune system attacks the myelin sheath that covers the nerves. And once the myelin sheath is destroyed, then the energy or the electricity or the whatever gives us this, the directions that's coming from the brain to do, it doesn't fire right. And that's why people with MS have problems walking, and it gets to the place sometimes where they're in a wheelchair, or they just can't function, in terms of the way we are able to. Why? Because the energy, the electricity, is being diffused in different directions as opposed to being consciously directed by the myelin sheath, covering it to specific areas. And I believe that that's the same thing that happens with melanin in terms of how we have to see it in order for us to bring things back to balance. Okay, so anyway, darkness and the reason I'm pausing because there are some things I'm hearing that I'm not to say at this moment, and I'm sorry for some stuff. Darkness is the light of this world. But it is the light of this world only when the darkness is brought, or when the light is allowed to come out of the darkness. And what I mean by that is this. The world would never, world means diversity. The world would never be enlightened without wisdom being understood. So wisdom is a great thing, but all you're getting, get what?
Understanding.
Understanding. You see?
Yeah.
So in order to penetrate the wall of humanness, to the extent that the realization is seen as, or is accepted rather, we accept the realization that we are not just human. And every person, whether they be in church or out of church, is that darkness, but they don't know how to translate it so they can understand it. So they translate it through convenience. They translate it as a convenience to them. Baptism is so you can be a member of this church. Communion is because you've been baptized. Those kinds of things. But yet, at the same time, you are saying that every word in the scripture is spiritual. So what's the spiritual essence of baptism? Why do I have to go through this physical thing if everything is spiritual? When I talk about, I believe that the scriptures are a description of us and not the Creator, but a description of us. And because it's a description of us, it is the darkness that covers the deep, the depths of our soul. Because it is wisdom. We are shrouded in wisdom. The depths of our essence is covered by darkness. And we, the reason we are unable to take 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread and feed that many people is because we think that we are the light, but we don't understand the wisdom and how that's done. We don't accept it. Does that make sense?
You said we don't know how it's done and we don't accept it.
We don't accept it. Why? Because we say that we are co-creators, but we don't never co-create. We don't create nothing. We build stuff,
Right.
but we don't create anything.
Purposefully. We don't create anything purposefully. We're always creating, though. When we create circumstances and situations and things like that,
Absolutely.
we have no
Right.
idea of, no deliberate control of. We
Right.
flail, but no, we're not.
That's the classic example of the reason I want to wait until we come together to talk about melanin, because there are pieces there that I don't have. Like this piece you just presented. We are. But the heck of it is, we don't even take responsibility for it. You did that to me.
Yeah.
So we don't even take responsibility for what we create. But when we begin to understand, when we begin to see that these circumstances are there for a purpose, then everything becomes different. We see things differently. And we have less stress. Any question?
And a lot of times we create for selfish reasons only, for selfish purpose, for selfish reasons.
Most of the times when we create without a sense of understanding of who we are doing it for selfish reasons. The reason you want that quote unquote adverse circumstance to leave because you want to feel better.
Yes.
Let me share something else with you that I'm committed to at this moment through this dark wisdom thing. The sun, S-U-N, is to the body what the pineal gland, whatever you want to call it, is to the spirit. The sun has a direct impact on your hormones. If people are without sunlight, their mood changes. For long periods of time, their mood changes.
That's true. Yeah.
Your mood are determined by hormones. So the sun has a direct impact on your hormones. Now, if you believe that the entirety of the universe is in you, because you are much more than it, then regardless of whether you can see the sun with your eyes or feel it with your body, you know that all of this is in you. It doesn't change your mood. Because you are in control of the hormones. You are in control of the body. And we say it all the time. You need to control your hormones. You need to control your anger. Why do you feel down and dejected all the time? All you're saying is control your hormones. Because when we allow the hormones to control our bodies, then they end up controlling us. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right.
So when we are dealing with situations, or if we have an ailment, something that's not going on with us in our body, are we to put light there? Are we to see that we are light body, that's what we are?
Okay. I don't know. It depends on how you need to do it.
Okay.
Because the other night, a couple of weeks ago, I was on my way in, and I was talking to someone, and I was really, really hoarse. And I was coughing. And I said to them, I'm not going to finish my day tomorrow. I got to deal with this. And I went home. I sat in my little chair. And I thought, I've got to deal with this. And I got up, went to bed. Next day it was gone. Now, there have been times I've had to sit there and consciously breathe. Boom. But now I don't have to do that. So that's why I say it depends on how you do it.
Right.
And I have told people that, well, a wound, that's what I'm thinking about. It don't matter. Just as long as your intent is right.
Right.
You can say a wound or a balloon.
Yeah.
As long as your intent is right.
Right.
You see?
Yes.
It happens. Got a phone call last night. The doctor says that my thyroid is enlarged. And I want you to know, I'm not worried about it. I didn't want to know what the thyroid does. I've been taught better, and so it doesn't bother me you know, what he says.
Mhm.
I just don't know what it does. I forgot to ask him. So after talking about what it does, okay, bye. This is someone who used to worry about everything. But now, nothing worries them because they have embraced what they've been taught. But I have seen the time that that person would have called me every day, 2 or 3 times a day until they got back to the doctor to find out what the results were.
Mhm.
But not now. Not now. And before I got off the phone with that person, I said, you do know the results is in your hands. And that was it. Another example. I was talking with Kathy and she said that she had gone to get a tire. She had to replace a tire. And when she went to the place to get it done, she had sat there for quite a while, and the guy comes in and says to her, ma'am, we put this foam on the tire and put whatever it is on the tire, and when it foams, it means that the rim is bent. And then come on here, let me show you. She said she started to go like, you know, oh God, what's next? But instead of saying that, she says, it doesn't matter. She gets up, she goes out, she sees the foam on the tire and it's not bubbling. And the guy says, I made mistakes. He wipes it and puts it back. It's not bubbling. And I said to her, you fixed the rim. That's all. That guy would not have come in there and told you that he thought your rim was bent if he did not think it was bent.
Right.
If it wasn't bubbling. He would not have said that. So what do you think changed? Your attitude changed it. You created a rim that wasn't bent. You took that out of it. This is what I'm talking about.
It's real. It's no game.
It is not a game. It is not a game. And I even when I first saw this thing about being darkness, I never dreamed that I would be talking about it this early, you know, because usually I have to wait. But I have to do it because the things that are happening are becoming more frequent. There have been 26 terrorist attacks in this country since 9/11, and 9 of them were connected to Islam or Islamic, whatever radical zone. The rest of them were connected to evangelicals. You see?
They don't call those terrorist attacks.
If you are going to monitor the mosque because of terrorist attacks, then every Southern Baptist church in America needs to be monitored. Every church that preaches anti-abortion, whatever, needs to be monitored. Every church that believes that the Confederate flag should be where it is should be monitored, because that boy in Charleston. You see what I'm talking about? If we are serious about monitoring people who go in certain places because of what they may do in terms of terrorism, then white males 35 and under should not be able to go into theaters and schools. Who shoot up schools and theaters?
You're right.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
It is not the responsibility of the government to handle this. It is our responsibility. And we must take it seriously. I was talking to Ron. I said to him, you know what, Ron? No longer do I believe, no, I think I told George the same thing when I was talking to him. No longer do I believe that, no, I start out by saying I believe that we are the facilitate, we are the ones who keep balancing this earth. The responsibility of the entirety of humanity is on our shoulders. I no longer believe that it's somebody over there or somebody in another part of the world. I don't even believe that. It doesn't matter. I believe it's us. And I believe we have to take our responsibility more serious. Because of the serious nature of what's happening to humanity right before our eyes. It's too far out. To show you how serious I am about this, Nate texts something, I'm paraphrasing all these text messages. She's in training at Peachtree Center downtown Atlanta. And she says that she loves being in the area, but at the same time, they are considered a soft target. And her words were, and this scares the hell out of me, especially when I think about how far I am away from my boys. And Malika said to her, there are times I feel the same way. I understand what you're saying. Keisha says, if we live in fear, they win. My text was, and I usually don't even get involved in the text, I just read them. Fear can paralyze or mobilize. All of us are travelers. We're always planning the next trip or the next adventure. We have a choice to live in fear or not to be paralyzed or mobilized. Maybe, just maybe, our presence has the power to avert an attack. Simply because we're there. And it changed the tone of the whole thing, right? Now, this is what I want to say about that I did not put in the text. There are no hard targets. Everything is a soft target. Everything.
What do you mean hard target?
Something hard to attack.
Oh, okay, okay.
Look at what happened at the military base.
Yeah.
This man killed folk
Yeah.
on the base. So there is no, everything is a soft target. It's just a play on words and to make you feel psychologically safe.
Yeah.
When safety is not in whether or not you're a soft or hard target, safety is in recognizing who you are. And the safety of humanity is in the hands of those who are enlightened to what's happening. And I know what I'm talking about. It's a heck of a responsibility. It is mind-boggling when you do it, when you use your mind to try to sort it out. It's mind-boggling. But when you close your eyes and come and see again for the first time the spiritual nature of what I am saying and the spiritual essence of our being, then it is no longer mind-boggling. But as long as we live like it's mind-boggling, it will boggle the mind.
Whatever you give life to.
And and that is the reason we have to be on the same page. On the same page about everything. And how did we get on the same page? By injecting, like you injected a few moments ago. That's how we get on the same page. That's how we take this sheet of paper that's torn apart and put it back together again. That's how we do that. To all the teachers who are listening, please hear me and hear me well. We are the grapes. And humanity is the wine press. Humanity is the vintner who's turning the wine press.
The grape always gets.
And we are the grapes.
Say that one more
The
time.
venture is humanity who turns the wine press to press the grapes. The grapes do not benefit from the wine.
Ew. Get squished.
The grapes do not benefit from the wine. When the grapes have served their purpose, the husk is thrown away or dealt with in another way. It's discarded. It's no longer needed for the wine.
Mm-hmm.
When it reached the place where it has done what it was supposed to do right, one of the grapes is gone because her task was complete.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yes.
But it does not mean that the life that came from that grape is dead. So, if we can keep that in mind, like I think Denise saw it when she laughed at God Almighty. But that's where we are. And we cannot look for benefits in what we do. We just do it. Because people going to call you crazy. Should I say that?
You already did.
Too late. I mean,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
But that's what they're going to do. They're going to treat us like we are totally insane. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Do you think that the venture sees the grape in any other way other than being a benefit to it? That's all. He cares about the grape. He cares about what the grape can do. He cares about what the grape can give him. Am I right?
Yes.
Now,
Well,
So what-
he cares for the grape up to that point.
to that point, because they want to give him. And people care about you until you say something to them that it benefits them. They think you're crazy. They don't want to fool with you no more.
True.
Well, they can't see.
That I have it all of the time, especially preachers. Calling me, want the wine, want the juice from the grape, and then throw the grape away. You don't think about it anymore. Why? Until next season. And the next season is the next problem.
Right.
All the time. So I don't look for benefit from what I do, from what I teach. I'm not looking for benefit from that. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. I don't look for the benefit. I don't have to look for the benefits. I don't. Why should I look for something that's looking for me?
That's all we can say to that.
Say that one more time.
Why should I look for something that's looking for me?
Oh, Lord, I'm doing it again.
So I don't look for it.
Wow.
I don't. All I look for is the next place where light needs to be shown. That's all I do. It doesn't, and I don't have to consciously think about it. My desire is to attract everything that's confusing, so I can bring order. That's my desire. And it does not matter. Text message. Girl, 12. Issues. Seeing bleeding polar bears in children. A little girl, rather. And been frightened all her life from birth on. For 12 years, been frightened. Can you help? Yeah. That's the only answer. Just yes. At that moment when I say yes, do I know how it's going to happen? It doesn't matter. No, I don't know. But guess what? I know it is. Why? Because I know who I am. I am the benefit for her and her family. That's who I am. At the moment that I'm with them, that's my only purpose for being in this earth.
So the person that asked that, the benefit to them is that they realize who you are and who they are.
Yes. It doesn't matter what I'm doing before or after. What matters is what I'm doing at that moment. That's the only purpose for me being in the earth. That's it. And I know that I cannot leave this earth until that particular meeting takes place. That's what I'm here for. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So you become the benefit for everyone. The scripture says, after he separated or called the light out of the darkness, he said, that is good. All right? Right? Yeah. Everything. The word good should have been translated as beneficial. It is beneficial instead as opposed to being it's good. It should have been beneficial. That's not the class. That is the literal Hebraic translation for that word that's translated as good.
Meaning right?
Right? Beneficial meaning whatever you need it to be when you need it to be, that's what it is. Beneficial to Evelyn in one area, beneficial to you in another area, because you don't have the same issues.
Correct.
Right.
That's what I mean by that. The bottom line is this. As long as you're looking for benefits, you'll never be beneficial to anyone. If you're looking to get something out of what you are doing, you'll never be beneficial to anyone. Because you are only seeking to be beneficial to yourself.
Which is selfish.
Selfishness. Yes.
Did you, as you were speaking, I saw where you just setting the tone for the overnighter that's coming up. I mean, I could just see it was like a road, but then it wasn't a road. I don't know. I just saw you. The words were just there, and I guess you line things up. I don't know what's happening, but
It's okay. I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I think everyone in this room can embrace what you're trying to say, can see what you see. So it's not necessary to put it in the words. We see it.
Hello, James.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Pastor Richard, what I was thinking about in terms of what Evelyn just said,
You didn't have to change
the angel oak tree and the particular power, when you talk about a seed being planted, brings so much substance that when I think about what you're speaking about is being able to tap into that energy, to see the awesomeness of that seed and how it has grown in terms of what it represents and illustrates. But I think that has some energy in terms of what we were able to embrace, on our visit there. But that's just a powerful energy place, in terms of being able to look at it as far as the branches and just all of that sustenance that's in there. So, you know, I can appreciate the grapevine, you know, but at the same time being able to see something that just spiritually, for myself personally or for others, you know, I think it just sends a powerful message.
It does indeed. And when you think about it, for those of you who have seen the angel oak, not only is it supported by what it's rooted in, but it is also supported by what it grows, because some of its limbs have grown into the ground.
Where is this? What is it?
In Charleston, the angel oak.
The angel oak tree.
Yeah. And you understand what I'm saying? So it does not concern itself just with what is rooted in. It concerns itself with what is rooted for the purpose of growing. And when it's growing, it does not realize at the time it's growing that the thing that it is growing is going to become its support system. Same principles. If we just be still and live from the inside out, then we'll be able to see the spiritual essence of everything that appears to be outside of us. To come to terms with the concept of being one with everything, because you understand that everything is a manifestation of energy. It just manifests differently. It doesn't mean you're not one with it. When we can come to terms with that, it makes a huge difference in our lives. I mean, when I learned that the body only requires trace amounts of iron, I was shocked. Because you would think, based upon what we are told, that it requires a huge amount. But it only requires a trace amount of iron to do what it's supposed to do. And that is the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. When we think about that, and we think about that oxygen is a gas, is spiritual in essence, and that if you could continuously oxidate your cells in your body at a high level or a constant level, you will never grow old. That says to me, if you understand the spiritual nature of your essence, then you begin to realize that the house that you live in does not have to grow old or be torn down in order for it to leave this earth. It doesn't have to be. But it's done that way because we have gotten so far away from the essence of who we are. I think the idea of Methuselah is not about how long he lived, it's about how he lived. It's about what he saw, what he experienced spiritually. So if Methuselah could experience that spiritually, I think he was sending the same message that Jesus was sending. Jesus was saying that this body is nothing but a corpse in the beginning, but you can't die even if you're killed. You can't die. Mm-hmm. Methuselah was saying, if you live to your fullest potential, your body does not have to be deteriorated in order for you to complete your journey on this earth and leave. regardless of how long it takes. Does that make sense?
It does, but why the script, why we don't get much on Methuselah?
The reason is because the whole life of Methuselah is hidden in how long he lived on this earth
Yeah.
and how he left. That's it's hidden right there. The short description of Methuselah.
Uh-huh.
Volumes is there. But you cannot read it with your natural eyes.
Okay.
I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm experiencing a stroll before me. There are things that I'm saying that I'm experiencing I've never seen before. And there is no reason why there's no reason for everyone not to experience this. You can do it. It's a willingness to do whatever it takes. I believe that because I've always been a risk taker. I've lived on the edge. I love it. I lived on the edge when I was out there, you know. Nothing frightened me. And I think that living on the edge was preparing me for the edge that I have to live on now. And what I mean by that is this. I would take whatever risk necessary in order for me to see. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. When I first came into this thing called ministry, the words that I said to Phoebe were, you told me you could not live with the preacher. Well, we will separate. I can't live with you because I got to do this. And to this day, I feel the same way. Whatever I have to give up, it doesn't matter to me. Because there is no such thing as sacrificing, giving up anything. It's about gaining everything. Any impediment in my life has to be moved or surmounted in order for me to be who I am. I'm willing for that to happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Will it hurt me humanly? Yes. But I have to accept the reality of its necessity. It doesn't matter. I love my family. But it doesn't matter if that has to end or they have to transition in order for me to be who I am supposed to be in relationship to humanity. When that lady sat there and said, it didn't matter if it had to happen this way. Even though she left, she was voicing what she had been taught. So, there were those who tell me you sacrifice large congregations or comfortable life for what you do. I didn't sacrifice anything. I didn't give up anything. I refused to be in bondage to those things. To be free from that kind of bondage is to be one with the Creator or one with the Father. But to be one with those things is to be blind to who the Father is. I don't want to be blind. I refuse to be blind. Because the blind cannot lead the blind. Both will fall in the ditch. And that's exactly what's happening with religion. The blind is leading the blind. And I'm done, unless there are questions or comments. Okay? Next Saturday is the 12th. 11 o'clock, teachers will come together at the house. And funny, I said at the house last Sunday, and one of the people said, at your house? And I say the house because it's ours. So we were coming together at the house at 11 and 6, 7 o'clock, whenever you get there in the evening, that's when we would begin the overnight. Because I know people get off like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, something like that. So it's just when you get there. Okay? Saturday. That's Saturday. Okay? Got it? Okay. Huh? Did I hear someone say something?
It's Betsy.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm done. But I do want to make you aware of something. There's going to be a ball in Spartanburg. The Lions Club is presenting it. And, well, let me read this thing. It says, the Spartanburg Southside Lions Club presents an evening of elegance with a Christmas gala featuring fine dining and dance, entertainment by Jamie Wright and band, December the 19th at 7 p.m. From 7 p.m. to 12 a.m. is at the Downtown Marriott in Spartanburg. And what else? Oh, and it's $55 per
What?
person, with the proceeds going to the Lions Club, of course. So, my intent is to be there, and I would hopefully see some of you there. Okay? Alrighty.
How do you define elegance?
I don't know.
Trying to figure out what I can wear.
I don't know.
Still get in.
I guess the idea of a bold. I don't know. I'd read what was written.
Okay, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, that's what we done, right? Okay. You can stop recording.